Hi, class. Welcome to Chapter 10's discussion on e-commerce, digital markets, and digital goods. Sorry for posting this a little delayed. So I'm hoping to do Chapter 10 and 11 today. So what we're looking at today is what are the unique features of e-commerce. We're going to look at the principles of e-commerce. We're going to look at how e-commerce has transformed marketing, how we've affected business-to-business transactions, the role of m-commerce, and what issues are addressed when building an e-commerce presence. Sorry, I was having some issues with a WebEx pop-up. So the videos for this week, I'd love for you all to watch the Walmart Takes on Amazon video. In the on-campus class, we showed Etsy. You should watch that one as well. It's quite unique. And there's a question from the Groupon case, number 5, dealing with your zip code. That's for homework. So e-commerce is the use of the internet to transact business. We can think of this as electronic, and then after is what we're doing. So e-learning is learning online. E-commerce is selling online. E-commerce has been a disruptive technology. We discussed disruptive technologies early in the semester, but how? Truly changed the way we would handle all buying and selling. We're going to look at business to business, business to consumer, and consumer to consumer selling, which is greatly enabled by the internet today and its global reach. E-commerce really began with the dot-com explosion around 1995, and it's still stable today even after the early 2000s recession. The companies that survived this recession, called the dot-com bubble, are those that are still alive and thriving today. You can think Amazon. This slide is just depicting the growth of e-commerce over the years. If we look in 2019, we're at roughly $800 billion in business-to-consumer revenue, expected to be almost $1 trillion by next year. So why e-commerce is different? Well, really it's different than all models before, in that it's 24/7, 365, anytime, any place. We have transaction costs being lowered because we're traveling less and we have less interactions per transaction. The biggest difference, though, it's really been enabled by the internet, and that's TCP/IP, remember, Transition Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. That one set of standards worldwide has really enabled e-commerce to blow up in the last 20 years. E-commerce also supports all ways of communication, video, audio, text messaging, all integrated in one platform. E-commerce is interactive. Two-way communication leads to a change in behavior from both the buyer and seller. The buyer is now an active participant instead of really the salesperson being the true active participant. There should be greater price and cost transparency. We should have price discrimination. Personalization and customization really gives us a personal feel to the things we're buying and selling. Should give us a new experience for a participant, meaning us, the consumer. Sorry. So the internet has changed the way we do business. We all know that. So we have asymmetry where one party has more info than the other. That's reduced because everyone has the same information these days. Menu costs, where the seller's cost of changing the price is lowered because we can easily find out competition pricing. Dynamic pricing is really done by looking at demand and determining the price. Think back to the Walmart video and how they determined that orchid or whatever the plant was priced at $5.82, but it was selling very well, so they were moving product in the stores and probably changing the price. The one thing that is troublesome to e-commerce is instant gratification, meaning we may want to see, touch, smell, roll around in it. You can't really do that with e-commerce. It's getting closer to real time in a lot of bigger cities. We have same day deliveries, but still we have some delayed gratification that we have to deal with. Looking at disintermediation for us, the consumer. This slide shows different ways we may buy a sweater. In class on Tuesday on campus, we looked into buying an Adidas cleat for soccer. And I'm going to continue with that model as well. But we're going to look at what disintermediation should be. The first model is how we traditionally buy. Manufacturer makes a sweater, sends it to a distributor who sends it to, say, the Forever 21s of the world or the Macy's of the world, and we buy it for $48.50. The second way is really buying from, say, Macy's themselves. Manufacturer sends right to Macy's, and then we get it. We save about $8. And lastly, we buy directly from a manufacturer, and we spend about $20. Now here's how it kind of works for this Adidas Predator cleat we're talking about. A traditional means of buying it would be to go into a store like Soccer and Rugby Imports, soccerandrugby.com, and we buy the cleat from them. Well, Adidas ships it to their distributors who ship it to Soccer and Rugby, and we buy it. And this cleat in particular is $275. Some product at Soccer and Rugby can come directly from Adidas or Nike without a distributor, and we should save some money there. But in the cleat world and the sneaker world, we don't, because regardless of how we ultimately get our hands on it, us the consumer, we pay the suggested retail. So even though there was less steps in the supply chain for Soccer and Rugby Imports to get this Predator cleat, we still spend $275. And lastly, we could buy directly from Adidas. Now, the global supply chain has really opened up a new world for us, and that's when our contract suppliers, manufacturers, sell product directly from the manufacturing plants, enabled by things like AliExpress. We're getting real Adidas product that didn't pass tests to be able to move on to Adidas' supply chain, but now these contract manufacturers can sell this cleat for 75% its value, and instead of recycling it, someone's getting a shoe that's still of pretty good quality for far less money. I hope you all remember our discussion on digital goods. Goods are delivered over a digital network. I don't like the word digital, as I told a lot of you in our first exam, our midterm. Just say the internet. So goods delivered over the internet. For a digital good, it's ironic in that the cost of producing the first unit is almost the entire cost of the product itself. Just think, if we're making a new song and whatever the latest, I brought up in class that I've listened to Jonas Brothers for years, and in fact, you can tell me the song Sucker for our question to show we watched the video today. So these guys reunited, put out this song, went #1 the same week with over $1 million in sales for this song. So the cost of making that song is made up after really they've sold the first one. Now everything from there is pure profit. The costs are so low because delivering over the internet is so low. Marketing costs are variable. In industries where digital goods are undergoing change, like traditional publishers and record labels are no longer around. Another artist who I listen to is a country music artist named Jana Kramer. She's an actress and singer who lost her recording deal with a major label a few years ago, but she just put out a new song last week with her own record label. So by not having to produce physical media, she can afford to release new intellectual property very cost effectively. The types of e-commerce. We got first, everyone knows business to consumer, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Finish Line, Macy's.com, any one are the same. Then we have business to business, where a business will sell to another business. We have ChemConnect here, but I'll use WB Mason, who supplies stuff that you could probably get at Staples and Office Depot, Office Max, whichever one is still available in your area. Here at Greystone, we use WB Mason for our office supplies. And lastly, consumer to consumer. Think eBay, think StubHub, Vivid Seats, places like that. Some business models within e-commerce. First is a portal. It's a gateway to the web, where we really gain revenue by increasing number of users. An e-tailer is simply an online store. A content provider is someone who provides digital content. Think NewYorkTimes.com, WallStreetJournal.com, iTunes.com, etc. Typically, we say provides content for a cost. A transaction broker saves us time and money by processing sales for us. Think Ticketmaster. A market creator is one that provides an environment where buyers and sellers can meet. Think eBay. A service provider, things like photo, video sharing, and authentication. Think Shutterfly or Google Authenticator or Huddle, places like that. And lastly, a community provider, an online meeting place. Think any of the places where you would go on social media. How we make money on the internet is a few ways. First, it's advertising. We can place ads on other websites. We can place ads on our social media feeds, etc. A new one I found is called YouTrue. I seen it on the Channel 5 local New York City news last Friday. It was an app created by a former NFL player named Nolan Carroll, and it kind of works like the old entertainment books used to, if your parents ever used those for discounts for local venues. Same goal here. You have a small app on your smartphone, you're in a major city, you launch YouTrue, and it comes up with deals in your area. It kind of uses geotechnologies, which we'll talk about later in this chapter, to be able to pinpoint where you are and what's the best deal near you. Biggest revenue model is, of course, sales. Next, we have subscriptions. Think ESPN Plus, Netflix, Hulu. We have free versus freemium. I realize you all mostly use Spotify, and I heard there's a $5 Spotify for students. It sounds like a great deal. In previous years before that was prevalent, we would discuss the merits of paying versus not paying. Transaction fees, just think the extra charges you get when you buy tickets. And lastly is affiliates, where websites send visitors to other websites for a fee. How has e-commerce really changed marketing? Well, the internet gives us new ways to identify and communicate with customers, mostly through CRM tools we talked about last week. We no longer have to look for big ticket, large audience marketing. We can use long tail marketing now because of the low cost of internet, where we find consumers for low demand goods for little money and try to make back up some of the low demand by being able to market for much less than we would a high ticket item. We can look at where we internet at, search engines, not internet, where we advertise on the internet at, sorry guys, search engines, ads, videos, emails, and sponsorships. Remember our cookie discussion a few weeks ago? They're really the basis of our behavioral tracking, where we look at your behavior and understand what your interests are and your intentions. We know your intentions because when you add to a cart, that's an intention to do something, and that stays with you through your browsing session. Read this slide. I'm not going to go over it a great deal. It's much more advantageous when you do something visually with this. So what I would recommend is go online and shop for something that you may want. In the case here, it's a white woman's blouse size 10, and then you change it to pink and whichever. But go to your favorite store. That'll be your click 1. Search for your product. It's click 2. Choose the product and customize it, color, size, etc. 3, add it to your cart. 4 and 5, and then leave for click 6. And then notice your browsing history, and sometime later you're going to get an ad somewhere. It might be within your browser, it might be in your social media, showing you that product again. In this case, with the slide, I would probably get an ad sometime in my browsing session for that ad, or until I clear my browsing history. Website personalization is a way to build a better relationship with our customers. One of the key reasons why we put systems in place to begin with. It's a means to be able to make people feel comfortable, give a better buying experience, and cut the buying experience as well. Amazon Prime is a prime example. You log into your Prime account and you have past purchase history, and you get user recommendations for purchases this time around. Should make you more loyal to the website that's done the personalization for you. Social e-commerce is where we utilize the way we're communicating today to be able to market our products. We can do so on news feeds, timelines, using social sign-on, where we have, say, a Facebook account that you can log into many different accounts with. Collaborative shopping, where we share our shopping experience. Network notifications. I discussed in class what's so important with someone hitting the like or the heart button. Why do we need the justification for what we post? Well, we all do. We all want to be liked and know we're loved, and that's what we're looking for. Advertising, marketing, and selling through social media is the fastest growth point within e-commerce in 2019, and it's going to keep growing and growing. By marketing to social networks, we want to leverage our influence over others, that need for gratification. We do through like the like button, having big time stars advertising products in their feeds and paying them to do so. We see people make careers out of selling products on Instagram. People are making hundreds of thousands of dollars and getting reality TV shows just because they market on the internet. I like to watch with my wife the show called Dancing with the Stars. Last year they had a celebrity, and I'm using air quotes, on there who just was a influencer on Instagram. Her name is Alexis Ren. She's a model. She sells product on Instagram. She's into Sports Illustrated now. But her claim to fame is just being extremely popular on Instagram. Other ways we use social media to help us is wisdom in the crowds, where we look for large audiences to help us make decisions. We make better decisions when many people are looking at a problem rather than one. And lastly, crowdsourcing, where we as the firm, the advertiser, are looking for us, the consumer, to solve the problems. Business to business. So U.S. business to business in 2015 was almost $15 trillion. E-commerce in 2015 was almost half of that total trade. So doing business online was half of all B2B trade in the U.S. It's probably about 75% today in 2019. And we conduct business to business by opening up our networks to other companies. Again, I harken back to Walmart Video. Best video we've shown this course, in my opinion, even though it is dated, because it shows electronic data interchange. That's where we have computers connected to computers sharing data between two different companies. I reference my wife's company, Geodis, with IBM here. Geodis manages much of IBM's high-end supply chain. And they're able to do so by EDI. Geodis doesn't utilize IBM systems anymore. IBM systems feed Geodis systems, and they're able to manage that downstream supply chain rather efficiently by doing so. I wish they would use IBM Watson supply chain in their offering to provide services to IBM. They would be even more successful, but so far they've not done so. We can look at private industry networks, the private exchanges that we can connect our suppliers to. Our text offers up the VW Group Supply, where Volkswagen has all its part suppliers in one network, supplying products to wherever Volkswagen is manufacturing their automobiles. The three major U.S. auto manufacturers have the same type of network. We can look at net marketplaces, or places like Amazon, where many buyers can buy from many suppliers. We talked about EDI a bit already. And the slide really shows what's going on here. Web-enabled, totally e-commerce, business to business. We have Geodis on the left side, IBM on the right side. IBM has a need to ship a Watson machine to, say, St. Jude's in Memphis. They send the information to Geodis. Geodis sends back the shipping information. IBM pays. Geodis. Geodis gets the trucks to an IBM plant. Geodis manages the shipment of product from plant to St. Jude's, all within one system, all behind the scenes exchanging of data between two different companies. We talked about private networks already, net marketplaces and exchanges already. We're going to look at m-commerce now. Hey Al, what is m-commerce, you may ask? M-commerce is mobile commerce, selling on our smart devices. And 2 years ago, 37% of all e-commerce was on our phones and tablets. We could be up to 337 billion in mobile sales by 2020. It's amazing growth. Our main areas of growth are companies like Amazon and Apple, mass market retailing. They did 82 billion in sales globally last year alone. Looking at sales of digital content and streaming content like Netflix and Hulu, 12 billion in sales. Lastly, another 7 billion in sales in in-app purchases. In-app purchases I try to stay away from, but like anyone else, I get suckered in for more coins for this and that. My son's a big in-app guy with his Madden football and his FIFA soccer on the PlayStation. He's always looking for a little cash infusion into his accounts. We talked about geo services a bit already, and you're really using GPS enabled smartphones, location services enabled smartphones to be able to provide services. First is geosocial services, where we find out where our friends are. I've never used this feature in anything. I asked the class on Tuesday, no one had used it either. So I'm not sure the viability there, but I guess if you want to know where someone is, it's fine. Geo advertising is knowing what shops are nearby, kind of like the Vutru app I talked about earlier. And geo info services, things like Zillow and knowing the price of housing you're passing, or Waze, like knowing where police or accidents are on your route to wherever you may be going. Other mobile commerce we know about banks and credit card companies. Please keep in mind, do not share any personal data like this over free Wi-Fi. You're much safer on your cellular networks. The last bullet is kind of surprising. 55% of all online retailers have m-commerce sites. That was as of 2017. It's probably 80% now, and by next year it'll be no doubt 100%. We're now developing sites with small screen enablement first, rather than laptop or desktop size sites first. We realize that sales are moving more mobile than they are more fixed, and that's where we're spending a lot of our startup dollars on launching our offerings. We'll start socially, build our mobile website, and finally our desktop website. Some issues we may have: knowing our business objectives, our business goals, our business processes, like any application we've looked at. Knowing how to choose the right technology. Again, knowing our map. The map shows websites, email, social media, offline media. We're really going to try to stay away from offline media, especially startups. We're going to launch socially. We're going to launch mobile. We're going to launch our full website while still emailing along the way to pass our word. But we're really going to hit up social media as our first step for marketing. And that's it for Chapter 10, guys. I'll be stopping recording and posting this to YouTube shortly, and we're going to record Chapter 11 as well. Both you and the on-campus class will be watching the Chapter 11 video because of Tuesday's assessment day. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye.